in terms of this point about the private sector strategy, I don't want to provide any, I don't want to give you an impression that I'm a private sector strategist. But I would say that, I'd say this, that what's happened over the last 20 years is the growth of an illusion that the US no longer manufactures anything. And that has ended up justifying many unions that are supposedly manufacturing to go into the social services and the public sector as opposed to developing a private sector organizing strategy. You know, for example, with all due respect to the United Mine Workers, for which I have a great deal of respect and admiration, I've wondered when I've talked to some members of the United Mine Workers that say, basically, we don't know who to organize, and then I see pictures of these open pit mines in the West, and I'm wondering, and they're non-union, I'm saying, what am I missing? And see, it's one thing to say that it's difficult to organize in the private sector and manufacturing because the laws are archaic and it's in the interest of the employers to break the laws. But you know, I was just over at the New York Taxi Workers Alliance, and if they had been depending on the law, it wouldn't exist.
Right.
And part of what I'd say, and then we'll take another round of questions and comments. Going back to this military metaphors. One of the problems is that the union movement has been fighting the last war, sort of like the French military in 1940. Right? They basically built a strategy that was wonderful for 1918, but had nothing to do with 1940. And when that strategy was destroyed, the French high command collapsed, and the troops said, well, if the high command's collapsed, why the hell should we fight and die? They were fighting the last war. They were not preparing for the innovations that the Nazis were coming up with. The New York Taxi Workers Alliance is not fighting the last war. They're fighting the war of the 21st century. And in order to go with organizing manufacturing, we have to understand this is not 1935, right? And we're dealing with different technologies. We're dealing with smaller workplaces. We're dealing with a situation where workers are not walking to work. They're not men, largely, who load up their lunch pail and walk to work or catch the bus, but often driving great distances and have nothing to do with the surrounding area. We're dealing with extremely repressive work situations, which means that we need a very different kind of strategy. And it's risky. But we're at a point right now where we're witnessing the beginning of the final offensive against us. I don't think we have much to lose.